All right. We'll start with Mike Wilson, Grant Ramey, and Rob Lewis.
Yeah, Rick, how frustrating were the turnovers in the final 10 minutes after you seemed to have the game pretty well in hand?
Mike, it is frustrating, but again, I think you got to give Georgia credit. You know, they got up there and they got their hands on it. They break it loose, but where we didn't make an adjustment, you know, when we went to our drive game, we said you're not going to be able to drive and spin back, and we lost the ball like that. But it's the ones out front where you're just standing very casual with the ball and letting them break it loose and go down and get those. But I think you got to give Georgia credit for that. They got aggressive and took the ball from us in those situations, and so you got to give them credit for that. But otherwise, there were a lot of good things tonight. A lot of guys. We had some heavy minutes, and maybe fatigue had a little bit to do with it. I don't know. I mean, Jaden, I think, played the most minutes he's played in his collegiate career and had a nice night. Josiah did a lot of good things. But what you said, Mike, the frustration part is the turnovers. I mean, you know, our three guards had 14 of those turnovers, and that's the frustrating part. And otherwise, you know, it's never going to be easy. We know games aren't going to be easy. You know, when you play anybody in this league, when they're down, they're not going to stop playing. It's a long time, over 40 minutes, but we can't. You know, we gave up 55, I think, points in the second half. And some of those we had no defense for because of the turnovers.
And what's Eve's status? Do you expect him back for Saturday?
You know, I do. I do think he'll be back. You know, he worked really hard at trying to play tonight. You know, he's such a competitive player, and he has done everything he could. He obviously hasn't practiced since the Alabama game, but you know, he wanted to see all day for the last couple of days. He's been trying to just see if he could get enough confidence to play on. The swelling's going down out of the knee, but you know, again tonight, I'd like to think if he was in the game, that he'd give us a little bit of that rim protection that we needed tonight that we didn't have. But I think he's going to play. I haven't talked to Chad and them because he was trying to tonight. A couple more days off, maybe. You know, he might be ready. I'll be surprised if he doesn't, but I don't know, because we thought when I drove back over tonight, you know, he hadn't made that decision whether he would or he wouldn't. But he really tried to play, but he just didn't feel confident being able to do it.
What is Jaden Springer doing well right now, or what do you like best about what he's done these last couple of?
Well, he's doing a lot of things well. Obviously, offensively, you know, he's been explosive there. You know, he can score at all three levels. You guys see that. He's learning. He's still learning a lot. I think he's still learning a lot about his game, things that he can do that he maybe hasn't been asked to do, that, you know, we're expecting him to do a lot. Defensively, he's really good night in and night out. But he was tired, fatigue-wise. At one time, three guys wanted out of the game, and we only took one, and we went with the one that's been out there the longest. But really proud of Keon sat a little bit longer tonight because of foul trouble. Otherwise, he'd have probably been into the 30s. But at the end of the game, I thought when they were pressing, for the most part, when they were really get us into double teams, we passed out and made good decisions. But Jaden will learn that now that you got a really big target on him, that when he starts to play one-on-one in isolation situations, he's going to have to move the ball quicker, and he's going to have to understand that spin won't be there. And because people are going to come and get that if he tries to do that.
Coach, obviously Jaden is, going to be the headline with 30 points, but how impressed were you with Josiah? It seemed like he was really hunting his offense more, but and not just jumpers, putting it on the floor, getting into the lane and scoring that way.
He did, and Rob, I thought what he did. I think Josiah is the calming force for these younger guys. That's where I think he's matured really well in terms of doing that. I mean, he's still trying to learn some things at the four, but he gives us a fourth really good ball handler out there, and but again, you think about what he's his presence, and he's talking to the young guys a lot while the game's going on, trying to get them to understand, what's happening, what we need to do, certain sets that we call where they're still not as comfortable as they should be by now, but. The fact is, I see Josiah starting to really put together a game where he's being effective in a lot of different ways to impact the game.
Ryan Shumpert, Ben McKee, and Wes Rucker.
Gotten these last two games a good look at the 4-guard lineup. Just what do you think the potential of that lineup is offensively after getting a long look at it?
Well, you talk about when it all depends on matchup. I mean, tonight is a team that you maybe could do that with a little bit because they seems like they're playing guards, and even their post is a very quick player when they're doing it. So I think there's games when we can do it. That's what I think about this team. We've gone through a lot in terms of trying to keep massaging our lineup, and guys, as they continue to grow and develop, we get to do different things. And I do think there's times because Keon is a guy that really enjoys it. To be quite honest, he wanted to get down there and play a little bit around the basket, and which is the first step in being able to do that. Then can we guard? Can we guard with a small lineup when they start isolating in the post and things like that?
Coach, on Monday, you talked about transition in this particular game going up against Georgia. How do you feel you all performed in transition tonight?
Well, I mean, obviously the first half was a lot of good things, good decisions. I think that fast we play and we'll stay with it. People are going to try to slow you down, but it's making decisions at that speed. And we want to do that. We want to get out. We want to go. We want to get in the open court. Like I said, we've been talking about it for a long time, and right now they're looking to do it, and we want to continue to do it. But then when it's not clicking the way you want it to, that's where we've got to take care of the ball. And whatever it is we want to get into, and we've got different ways we can get into different things, but we just simply got to continue to be aggressive, got to take our shots, and I'd like to see us rebound a little bit more. I think he would have this kind of game where I think he could have done some damage on the boards, but the more space we can give those guys in before teams get collapsed, the better off we'll be. Before the defense gets back and really shrinks the floor.
Rick, but you've been building rosters in this game for a long time and kind of putting teams together. How important are guys like Josiah to that process when you're trying to kind of recruit a guy and see where he fits in, and just to have a guy who can do that many different things? How valuable is that?
It's valuable when you got a guy that and he is starting to really, his basketball IQ is getting to where you want it to be. He's starting to understand where he can be effective. His mid-range game, we want to see him finish more around the rim. He did tonight, but again, I think he can still get better there. I mean, there's nothing he won't continue to work at getting better at. But he's a guy that he likes passing the ball, which is this team likes passing the ball. When you really think about it, they like to move it, get it going, and but it's been fun watching Josiah, his hard work paying off for him, because he's a worker, and he knows that that there's a time that he's the one guy that's going to have the ability and the versatility and he does, to play all 5 positions on the court.
Nicholas Hill, Gustavo, and Mike.
Coach, John Fulkerson only took 3 shots tonight. I'm just curious, do you think that's more of a function of the 4-guard offense, or is there something else going on to where he's not taking as many shots? Obviously, I know Saturday he was in massive foul trouble, but tonight he was definitely on the floor for a lot longer. Are you concerned about the only 3 shot attempts?
No, I'm not. We've got a package. We need to play through him. We can, but we've done that for the latter, the most of the year. These other guys have continued to improve, and it's obvious that we've shifted, which I think helps us, because now we still can go back to that if he gets it going. But within what we're doing now, he's got plenty of opportunities if he wants to get involved to still get shots. And like I said, we got a group of guys that want to move the ball and pass the ball, but he's got to get where he needs to get it done. And but we're not right now. We're playing at a tempo that we think should help him more than what we were doing. I think this tempo should allow him to get out in the open court, give him more space and move, but he's gonna have to do his part to get involved with it.
Coach, how satisfied you feel with your offense tonight, especially have 4 players scoring double-digit points?
Gustavo, can you say that one just a little slower for us?
Of course. My question is, how satisfied you are with your offense having 4 players scoring double-digit points?
Well, we like it. You know, we talked about Georgia coming into this game. When you got guys that are up there, it's hard to game plan because you think about it. There's a lot of guys that can put points up, and so yeah, we like balance. We do like balance, but we also like the fact that we feel like somebody's got it going on. We like to get them involved and play through them, but we do want that. I think it's a really for a young team. You think about it tonight. We started the game with 2 freshmen and 2 sophomores without a guy that's played a lot of minutes for us. And I thought they did a lot of really good things. And all 4 of those guys, along with Fulke, that starting lineup at some point in their career, I think they've all had over 15-point nights, maybe 20-point nights. And but it's great when you can have great balance on the offensive end.
Rick, I have 2 questions. One, how long is it sustainable for such a high percentage of scoring to come from guards? And then Keon Johnson had a pretty good dunk tonight. Where does that one stack up in dunks since you've been at Tennessee?
Well, I've worked with him a lot on that dunk. I spent a lot of time showing him how to take off and how to wind up with it. Took me, the reason you haven't seen that up until this point, it's taken me that long to get back in shape to show him how to do it. So, he's a really good imitator of the way you like to do that little helicopter dunk, But the fact is, Keon's a very explosive player that has learned, and we've gotten on him for stopping himself too many times in transition where we want him to go attack the rim. And he does that, and that's what makes. He's a high-level, explosive athlete that is just scratching the surface to how good he can be. He's like Jaden. He can score at all 3 levels. And what was the first part of your question, Mike? I'm sorry. What was
No, you're fine. How long is it sustainable for an offense to rely so heavily on scoring from guards and not getting a lot of production from the bigs?
Well, you know what, Mike? It's funny. We talked about balance all year long. We have tried to get out and run like this, get the ball ahead, trying to get easy baskets, and the stops and starts. And I believe this. I think it's hurt a lot of teams around the country. I do. I think that it always has affected the younger guys when we've had to stop and start back at some really critical practice time, whether it was you go back. But the fact is, these guys have continued to work. They've got the game experience I think they need right now. I think tonight is going to help us as much as the frustration of the turnovers. You get leads, people are going to come after you. But what we have to do, like tonight, we actually in the second half missed some shots that were great looks, with some really good players. But some nights when it's not going in, that's when they got to be able to bleed into, okay, now we got to get something going to the rim, or maybe that's where your post game comes in, your mid-range game. And that's what I think we will continue to learn. But we've got to maintain like a very aggressive attitude. Like what we worked on 2 days ago was, if they want to go 2-3 zone, we're not going to let that slow us down. We're going to keep coming. And tonight, when I thought we were slow, like where we got deep into the shot clock a couple times, I really thought it was fatigue. I really did, where we got a little stagnant, and I could see it. And I actually thought a couple times of using the timeout, which I did, to try to get 2 of them back to back right there, because I could tell we were fatigued because of heavy minutes. But to maintain the pace that we're playing with right now, one, you're hoping the younger guys are understanding the shape that they got to be in, because they are getting finally in the kind of shape that you want them in. But it is a mentality. It's an attitude that, hey, we got to keep going. We got to keep going, taking our shots and offensive rebounds, and really try to get stops. That's what fuels it. If we can get the stops we need, and then not turn it over the way we did. Turnovers really put us back on our heels a little bit tonight, but that's something we'll learn from.
Finish up with Wes Rucker.
Yeah, Rick, I'm not sure we're going to talk to you all again before Saturday. So what do you know about LSU? What have you seen at all from them this season? It seems like it's a team that can run and score.
Well, I think right now they're the 8th rated offense in the country. They got guys that can score. They a very heavy isolation team. They're going to look at guys and see who they can take advantage of. You know, they've always had a little 2-2-1 press to try to slow you down there, so that's going to be a challenge. But we're going to have to they're a very explosive offensive team.
Thank you, Coach.
Great, thank you guys.